excommunicate them from the community, as opposed to repair and like figuring out how to, repair and remain a community. So those are things that just pop out at me of like,
Yeah, no, I think those are all real good points. And it may be what we look at when we're trying to address this with our students is what kind of, instruction that we can give that is going to empower them.
Yeah.
And that I think is important. Just want to let everyone know I just hit record on the meeting because Leslie isn't here. I don't have anyone to like take notes. So I'll go back and watch the meeting again and take our notes down from there. And just gonna have to rely on the memory for these.
This is where you need that
excellent
creepy
comments
AI tool that you could have invited to the Zoom and it.
No,
looks
I
like
know.
you-
It's true.
Random.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I'd like to move on to the middle school now and take a look at some of the comments that we had from our middle school students. And I think that you'll be equally impressed with the feedback that we got from them. There it is. Okay. So when we talked to our middle school students, we also started off with that question about what makes our middle school students feel connected to PGMS. And what the kids started off with was the feeling of community is great at the middle school. And one said, I never feel bad about myself. And so what a wonderful statement to be able to make. I wish that I could say the same, Another one said that the advisory period is what helps them connect with each other. I think that the middle school leadership and teachers have done an excellent job of identifying topic after topic after topic every week to use during that advisory period to truly address some of that tier 1 social emotional learning that we're trying to do in our schools. Let's see. And then the advisory period gives us a break from the academic classes. You can vent your emotions and talk about what's going on in your life. Sorry. Okay. Let's see what's going on in your life and some of the topics that they had. They talked about Rosa Parks. And I think they also talked about Ruby Bridges. That was a topic of one of their times. Character Strong has pre-made lessons. And I asked the students about Character Strong because I was skeptical, right? It's a program. And the students said, no, that it varies from lesson to lesson, but they said that there are some good ones that really do hit home for them when they're doing the Character Strong curriculum. It said that there are student-made lessons too. They love those. And Character Strong works for the community building, and the slides about disability awareness and how to welcome these students to school were some of the things that they remembered. When they were looking at bullying and how we treat each other, it says that some people are really welcoming, some not so much. That some put others down, and the way we treat each other, the way we act, they felt could at times be a lot better than it is. Or that was how they bully each other, was the way that they treat each other and the way that they act. Said that we have rules, but don't always have consequences. They feel like they got a pretty good idea of what the rules are at the middle school. It's just that at times they feel like the consequences aren't there. And that they also said that the bullying prevention that they try to do, it doesn't change the behavior. Safety. They talked about how safety could use some improvements. The strangers could come on campus. They are glad to know that we're locking the doors now. But what they said was it's a little concerning that they didn't lock the doors before. At lunch, there's not much supervision and we could use more. The area on Fountain is open and they were worried about that.
What's that?
That's that turn around the cul-de-sac that actually was part of the incident that occurred today. Yeah. So
that's Fountain Street.
For like parents that don't know, that we had a person that drove up Fountain, came through the landscaped area, drove a part way around the track and then drove out. Yeah, it wasn't during lunch, it was after lunch. And then our school resource officer was called and pulled the person over, and his day got complicated. Let me just put it that way. So, but the area on Fountain is open, so they were a little bit concerned about that. There are sketchy areas, they said, where people,
I didn't realize that was Fountain. That's the weirdest thing. That
Yeah.
runs all the way
no, I know,
Mhm.
that, let's see, there are sketchy areas where people could hide and wait until a kid walks by. They were talking about that. At lunch, it feels like we have a lot more students than our school was made for. We need more places to sit and not be so cramped. So the field is huge and spacious, but the eating area where they eat outside feels like sometimes they're trying to search for places to sit and eat. Getting into school, we would have IDs as a key card for our students to kind of buzz in using the ID card. That was one of their ideas. Then it bothers them that members of the public walk their dogs down Fountain while they're at lunch. So they mentioned that. And then outside classrooms, sometimes leave their doors open and they feel that those doors should be
So a lot of
closed.
safety
Yeah.
concerns, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's a good list.
Mhm.
Should we talk about the sections as we go through them, or should we do it at the end? Why don't we do it at the end, since that's what we did last time? How can we change bullying behavior? You can encourage students to be nice, but some are impossible to change. They said, that's a fixed mindset right there. The second one,
For both parties.
it goes into supervision at break and lunch. That's the best opportunity for bad things to happen. We say bullying is not tolerated, but if they don't see it happen, it's hard to do anything about it. A friend said there was a person physically touching her. The person got called to the office and didn't get in trouble. They got talked to. She expected a more severe punishment to happen. Had friends get called slurs, but there was no action. School does a good job of messaging, but when people don't see it, you have to tell people, and sometimes it doesn't get handled. And then they said that Mr. Tavani uses conflict resolution very well. Facilities, they said the gym gets too hot. They'd like to see additional seating for eating and hanging out. They thought the hall pass could maybe be a key card. So if they had to leave to go to the bathroom, they could use the key card to get back in. The Wi-Fi can be shaky. It could be improved. I have a little bit of knowledge on that. The middle school's an old building. And so whatever they were making buildings out of back when this building got made is some pretty serious material. And that's why the Wi-Fi doesn't cover as much area as it does in some of our other schools. Boys' bathroom doesn't have any mirrors. We want mirrors. Downstairs boys' bathroom needs more privacy dividers by the urinals. And then also some of the stalls can't be locked. The girls' bathroom, the paper towel dispensers don't always work. So a good punch list for us right there. Academic assistance, I went from an IEP to a 504. When you switch, you feel like you need more support. So that was good for the student to mention that. A lot of assistance with study hall, and I couldn't make out my own writing. I had IMG Center, but there's got to be some.
Learning center.
The Learning Center.
Fantastic.
All right. We need better communication about when the library is open and closed. That was one of the bits of feedback that they feel like they don't always know. And then more access to elective classes. And then they also said that if you take Avid, you wind up losing out on the other electives. And so they would like to somehow be able to build more electives into the schedule. The counselor I want to see form. They said that they spread the message well about the I want to see, but not a lot of people want to go. It's hard to make time, and people don't want to stand out when they get the I want to see or when they get the call slip from the counselor. Message is great. Practicality isn't. You are taken out of your class schedule. And then they give you a slip, so it is not confidential. It sounds like they would like a more confidential way to be called to the counseling office. I'm not sure what.
Is that mental health counseling as opposed to I need a schedule change?
I think it's anything that would have to do with a counselor, but my guess is that where they feel self-conscious is the mental health kind of appointments. Mary, you might have some insight, having run this school for a while.
Yeah, it used to be the I want to see was to see in the old days Janie Lawrence about a schedule change, but it also could be a problem. We didn't use the word bullying way back then, but someone teasing you, or I don't have any friends, or my mom's out of town. It could be a lot of things. And And I'm not sure what it's really used for now because I'm not there. It could be more of a serious nature, like mental health issues. But I'm thinking that they have a counselor at the site now, right, Buck? For like Sonda, not Sonda, but someone like Sonda or Corey, Zoe,
Well,
or who's
I
there.
know that the middle school has the person that filled the role that Janie did for a long time. And they just recently got a contract for services approved with Ohana
Yep.
to have a counselor. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
1 week.
That's right.
So that's great that they've got the 1 day a week, but I think one of the
Yeah.
things that we talked about writing into the LCAP is the possibility of hiring a mental health therapist at the middle school, just like we have at the high school, and how we have one that's splitting time between the elementary schools. So I think that's one of the things that we talked about adding.
Yeah.
Any
Good.
other comments about the middle school comments?
I think the supervision at any school is really important, and I heard that in some of the comments from the middle school, not so much the high school, but I feel we could use that at all the schools. If the kids are having issues, there are only so many adults out there who can, yellow jackets, whatever you want to call them, can really address. We only have 2 eyes apiece, and we can't see and hear everything. So it could be a key of getting more supervisory roles established somehow to help.
I agree, Mary,
It's
that
really hard to stretch yourself.
yeah, and I agree that I always felt spread really thin when I was supervising at lunch as well here at the middle school. Maybe there could be almost like advocates, for lack of a better term, that people could that whose specific duty at lunchtime would be to, I don't know, interact with students who might want to approach them to talk about an issue that's come up. So it wouldn't so much be the supervision role, but almost have like lunchtime counselors out there.
Yeah, that would be great. And the other thing, I don't mean to dominate this at all, so please cut me off. But one of the comments was the rules, according to one of the students, or maybe several students, commented on there are no consequences. Sometimes students think that, but there are consequences, but there's so much confidentiality that we have to respect. They don't know, their parents don't know what happened when, the so bad kid, however you want to call them, they've been disciplined, but the students who are offended by it don't understand that, and we can't let them know what happened. So it's too bad. Maybe they don't understand that piece, but it could happen now and then that there is no consequence, but I have a hard time believing that. I think there are consequences inflicted.
Mary, I think that one of the things that we can do kind of came up at the admin training yesterday, and that's to front load the community on what are the common consequences that occur when something like that happens. So people understand that something is happening, but because of the Family Education Rights Protection Act, because of FERPA, we're not going to be able to broadcast
Right.
what the consequences are or what happens. The one that people notice is a suspension because the person's gone from school. And so
Right.
anything short of that, sometimes it's tough to tell. Jessica, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think the point you made is really, really important about the extra set of eyes, because I think the counseling advocate, this is a much more important piece of this, because I think what, again, you see in some of this is a lack of conflict resolution, a lack of understanding, and instead a desire of like, I want more adults to like punish people when they do bad things, which is not really setting them up well. And so I think thinking more, and I think that can especially be true when we're like, hey, any adult will work, like come be a yellow jacket, please. Like they'll say, hey, parents even. And to be honest, like they're not trained, they don't have the skills, like, and sometimes are making problems worse and not better.
Yeah.
If they are not trained in how to actually conflict resolve and help kids learn from the mistakes they're making at young ages, right? So one, I think that is just really important to keep in mind. The second thing, to your point as well about the consequences, is I also think there is some educating to do, not just about like, yes, don't trust us, things are happening, consequences are happening, that's important, but also important to tell people like why FERPA exists, like why privacy is also important, and why, again, like we're not like tarring and feathering a middle schooler because they make mistakes.
Right.
That doesn't mean they're not being held accountable, they don't have consequences, but I think, again, I see like a lot of misunderstanding of like what the goals are and what we're doing. And it's not about determining like who's the good guy and who's the bad guy.
Right.
And like, and then like letting everybody know, don't worry, like we've identified the right person in the right category.
Yeah.
Like, that just, yeah, it really worries me, to be honest, because I see a lot of it everywhere.
Right.
No, and I totally agree with what you're saying, but I see two different issues here. I see the counseling component of it, but then I also see kids saying, I don't feel safe.
Right.
And so the I don't feel safe is, what are we going to do about that, right? Like, are we putting a campus supervisor up here in a position? I know we aren't really hiring positions right now, but that sounds like what kids are asking for in some sense. Like, we do need more protection. We want more eyes. We want someone out there making sure that we're safe, because that's part of it. And today's issue is another piece of that, right? And then Friday's issue is another piece with the threat, right? So I totally get FERPA and I understand that, but then it is, well, what are consequences when these types of behavior happen? Because I know from when my children were both at this school and both at the high school, that there is a culture of joking around school threats. And so perhaps if we all knew as a community that if you joke about that kind of thing, these are the types of things you can expect to happen.
Yes.
Maybe we could eliminate some of those, because
Right.
absolutely
Yes.
a child makes mistake and their identity needs to be protected, but other kids need to know this is not something we joke about. And if it is something that you choose to joke about, once it's considered or ruled a joke, then you can expect that these things will happen.
Right.
So that we can stop those things from happening again. But right now, kids don't know what happens if you joke about it, because it gets joked about in the hallways all the time. All the time.
And I think also that speaking of safety and bullying and consequences, it's kind of like a domino effect right now, I feel, because they do not have enough space when they're eating their lunch and when they have a recess, right? So then there's a hierarchy, I think. So some of the kids are the ones that can use that table because they're the cool kids or whatever, and then the other ones kind of go and are on the floor or are like, and then all of a sudden, they just don't have enough space, and it starts creating conflicts.
They've got
And
turf.
then they don't have anybody there watching when the conflict and how the conflicts are resolved or not resolved. And then this escalates and people make fun of them, and then they want to go see maybe like the counselor. But then if they see that they have a note from the counselor because they had a bad time, if somebody sees that, they're like, oh, you're such a pick me kid, like like you just want to, and then the fun starts. So yeah, there needs to be like a process for all these things happening, right? Because it's just like it it starts with the space, and then it goes all the way to
And then they joke about something because
And
it's
then-
the release of all of that,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then it's just
Yeah.
cycle.
yeah. So so yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot happening there, and there's a lot of, I'm sure they spoke a lot, because when when they're asked, they say how they're feeling, but when they're a group with a bigger group, they're like, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, and the thing, with the group that we had, it was a good size. I want to say we had, like, 10, right? So it wasn't a big group. It wasn't a small group. They were eating pizza, so the defense mechanisms were down, so we had a pretty good conversation. And I know there's a lot of things to work on in terms of safety and the bullying and that kind of thing. What gave me hope was that initial conversation that we had too. I think that advisory period is a good avenue for some thoughtful time for these lessons to take place. And then it's like what I used to think of as middle schoolers out in the wild. That's like lunchtime, right? And break time. Yeah, that they're in kind of their own element. And so not always the best in human nature comes out then. And then what we need to do is, you know, empower them to be able to handle those interactions. So, yeah. Hey, why don't we take a look at what some of the parents said in our parent survey? We're going to start with just a few of the comments that they had, and then what I'll do is I'll log into Qualtrics, and we can start to take a look at some of the scaled answers too. And again, people have another week. Our goal is to get to 50%. We're already over 25. So that's not bad. We've had 505 people, I think, respond so far. So, you know, I'm actually pleased with that. So the family feedback, let me share it. I'm done. There we go. And make this just a little bit bigger also, so people have a little easier time reading it.
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go. All right. So this going to be a bunch of schools blended together. Okay, this isn't just high school, middle. It's everything blended together. I did go through, and if someone like had a personal attack against someone, I think I took it out. If it's not, I'll stop sharing the screen really, really fast. Okay. But it says that my student enjoys 80%. Well, here, I'm just going to let you read it because I'm getting tired of reading. But you can work your way through some of the bullets. I'm not a very fast reader, so I'll be the pace car. The circle's going to love this bullet right there.
Very positive.
Well, this is all what they like about the school, Mary.
That's why, well, there.
Got the other comments coming.
Cool. Let's leave it there.
Right.
Just kidding.
Oh, you didn't want to leave in the names of the people who got
didn't wanna
the
leave
shout
this up there,
outs.
but-
Yeah, can we
Yeah.
just say it's me?
Here we go.
Right.
I
So
paid somebody
remember
to
that warm
say that.
feeling that you have now. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
I
people have some
spoke
good
too
ideas
soon.
for how we can improve as well too. And the survey was designed because part of what we want to hear are the complaints,
Yeah,
right? We want to
for sure.
hear what people are frustrated with. And so here we go. Please tell how we could better meet the needs of your student.
Hmm.
It's true, that
Yeah.
first one right there. Mhm.
Yeah, wait. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I may have started skimming, Mary.
Got it.
Okay. It would be, do you know that last one, was that middle or high or?
I don't know.
technology one?
There was just a big list of them.
Okay.
And you can sort by school and we'll do that. But Qualtrics also is gonna make the dashboard for us. So, I think what they're gonna do is analyze these comments and identify trends.
Mhm.
At least I'm hoping that they do, because if they don't do it, then I have to,
Mhm.
right?
There.
They should do it.
Okay, but
Okay.
you can see we're getting.
I mean, those are all
That was not
reasonable.
bad.
No, it's, well,
Well, you took out the personal tax, but.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah, were there many of them?
no, there weren't. I think that most people understand, the survey. What I would like to do too, well, first of all, are there any comments that we want to make based on the positive and the areas of growth that were identified for us?
I feel like we're harder on ourselves than our parents are on us.
Yeah, those all
I
seem
think so
fair to
too.
me.
Well, and what was great to see was some of the comments, please tell us how we could better meet the needs of your student. There are a number of them where it said, I can't think of any at this time. So there's some, I think that one of the things in our constant quest to improve, I think that sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we are excellent
Mhm.
district. And what I'm really happy about is that no one's satisfied with where we are,
Mhm.
right? That we want to be better than we are. So what I'd like to do then is I'm going to stop sharing for a moment so I could pull up the Qualtrics information and then I'll share it again. But again, like I don't want to throw something confidential up there to the world.
Come on, we like it when you do.
You won't tell anybody.
No, you just start.
While you're
texting.
doing that, I think the supervision is sort of a common concern of parents and students.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's
staff.
about That's the HR hiring thing, and the limitations are amazing, so you can't really fight that too much, but yeah, the more eyes, the better.
I think that
I can see
what we've
anything
tried in
on
the
there
past
we
too,
haven't
that
said.
hasn't really been successful is seeing if there were parent volunteers that would come and serve. We had some great ones that helped us out at Forest Grove when we couldn't get the additional noon help that we were hoping for coming out of COVID. First of all, okay, here, let's go ahead and share. So you can see the
We
interactive
do
dashboard.
have a few parents who consistently come and help out with lunch duty, but it's been
Awesome.
mainly staring at the tables, not disciplining anything. We'd have to do like a mini training on it for them, but
Right.
we have some coming back.
And the discipline part of it, really what you're looking for is a set of eyes. The discipline part of it really has to be handled by our school staff. So the distribution tells you how many surveys were filled out on what days. And one of the direct correlations are the days that messages have been sent,
Mhm.
right? So those are the spikes in each one of the days. But something trickles in pretty much every day. If you go up a little bit, you can see that we're at 515 now. So
And how many students?
well, it's like we have like 1,700 students,
Oh, I mean,
1,750. But what we're doing is we're asking
Students.
families to fill out a survey for each student.
For each student?
Yes.
No,
No,
didn't.
it said for,
yeah, you click like,
you could,
you only did one. It
Yeah.
asked-
You can click multiple schools.
yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
you click grades, I think.
Well, then we're doing
Yes.
even better than I thought.
yes.
Because the halfway mark is probably going to be somewhere closer then to like probably closer to 800.
Yeah.
Than like whatever.
So
half
You
of
said we have
1750.
how many students? 1,750?
Yeah, like 1775, something like that.
But we don't know how many families
Right.
or households.
Well, you know what, I'm sure I could get that number,
Yeah.
but I don't know that number.
That's probably closer to.
Right.
Yeah, but it's gotta be,
Hard to-
yeah.
But that
Yeah,
seems pretty
that's not
decent.
so bad.
Mhm.
So this is kind of fun too, to look at the results. And these are the results as they're coming in. So this is all 515 that we've reserved, that we've received.
I was listening.
Okay, so there's the name of the student school. The percentages range from like 28% to 20%. So we got a pretty good balanced response from our schools. No one is under 100, right? So we've got 108. You can kind of see the numbers there.
But again, those percentages are based on assuming that it's, per child. But I only fill
Correct.
out one per two kids. so,
Correct,
you
right,
know,
yeah, so,
Probably they need to change the, denominator in their calculation.
probably do.
So
There
that
we
you
go.
don't look worse than you are.
Here are the grade levels that have responded.
Wow.
Great.
It's
Come on,
pretty good response
seniors.
all the way through. Senioritis care, they're checked out.
Seniors and
They're
kindergartners.
moving on,
there. Come
right.
on, both ends.
The fifth grade is big. That's
mind-
awesome. I,
Keep in mind, there aren't very many
My
TK.
first graders did.
Yeah, the
Oh,
fifth is,
these are
got a
family,
lot of
so,
response.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
maybe they're worried about middle school. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a very involved time, right? Ponies going on now too and all that. So the ethnicity is predictable
Yeah.
and it kind of matches, the population in general. So we got a pretty good sampling, right? That's our Hispanic Latino usually is at about 20%. So we got 40 respondents out of 500. So we'd be tracking at about half of where we would be.
But I always say, here it's more about culture than race,
Yes,
because we have so many different cultures that are within the white
for sure.
that we cannot.
Right, it's
can't
not a monolith of white.
It's not.
Right, yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Moving on, let's get to some of the actual questions here. All right. Classroom instruction prepares my child for the next level. Some very strong numbers. The school's testing and grading practices are fair. Still, very strong numbers. Isn't that unanimous?
Yeah, I was
By
wondering,
school
like,
would be-
where is the?
Nobody has
grade
Unanimous
outside
feelings
grade
about
level?
testing.
Well, and that's coming, right? That, like I said, you can sort by school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supported in reaching their academic potential. But you get an idea how this is presented. Academic help. What's interesting is when the lines don't look the same, like this one. My child receives enrichment activities when they excel. So
Yep.
that's kind of a need, right?
Right.
Nope.
Right.
This line's
Does not
bigger,
happen.
That would
this
be
line's bigger,
elementary.
and this line is bigger.
Elementary, we don't have a lot of enrichment. Okay.
Reading and doing homework is appropriate for the grade level.
Let's
That's
dig into
good.
that.
Used to be too many complaints about homework in the old days.
PGOC communicates the expectation. You know what? We do have a question on the secondary.
Mhm.
That I never have homework assigned over a break. And the disagree and completely disagree were huge.
Yeah, I would like to dig in on those homework questions on the secondary and look at those.
and that's all gonna be
Can
available. just
But
as a homework.
tonight, are we gonna see those?
No, I mean, I can't do it right now. It's a complicated process to put in a filter and then use that filter and then apply that filter,
Yeah.
which is why someone else is gonna do it for me.
Yeah.
PG, I mean, I did it once just to start looking at some individual data, but PGUSD communicates the expectations for my child. Academic. And you know what, we're gonna integrate the technology. I'm gonna scoot down just a little further to get a different type of question going. What did I land on? I feel connected to my child's school. Pretty strong response. I'm aware that our school provides opportunities to give input such as PTA, school site council, ELAC. Very strong. And then opportunities to volunteer. So you get the idea, right? That one I was surprised at because the participation in our parent education opportunities and workshops isn't always real enthusiastic. And yet
Oh, no.
people completely agree that they're aware of them.
Yes.
Yeah, they just don't go.
They're just not taking advantage of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And That's,
Choice.
that's good to know, right? That
Mhm,
they know we're doing it.
mhm,
They're just not showing up there.
mhm.
Dr. Adamson, welcome. We appreciate you joining us at the end of an extremely busy day. Thank you. So we're just kind of going through some of the,
This is the A team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You all, right?
well, we
Goodness, thank
have
you.
Chris
Yeah.
online too, Chris Vera James, as well as Mary and Abby
Oh,
and some other folks too. So
that's wonderful. Oh, good.
there we go. But we're just kind of going through some of the survey data and getting a look, creates a welcoming environment. We got a lot of agree and somewhat agree from the families. I think that we're going to learn a little bit more as we break it out by school.
Mhm.
And this data hasn't been broken out by school yet. The Qualtrics folks are going to do that, but this is the school communicates effectively about programs, activities, and announcements. During weather emergencies
Oh,
and
yeah.
other
Oh, you
safety.
definitely do
Oh,
a good
yeah.
job of that.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yes.
because the input we had gotten previously is that we did not do a very,
No, I
very,
did a great
very,
job.
very
Yeah.
good job of that. So
Mhm.
I think that there was a particular effort, especially with the storms last year,
Yeah.
Yep.
to turn that around. And then Dr. Adamson has been doing a phenomenal
Yep,
job of keeping
that's
people
enough.
I
informed.
thought the revamp of the weekly break too, was that just last week? It was nice, it looked good.
Yeah.
Was that the superintendent's update?
The
Well, there
weekly
you go.
upgrade.
So it's, I'm doing one and then,
Right.
Lucero went ahead and has made.
Oh, did she do a redesign?
The regular weekly ones. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Both of them,
Yep.
they looked
Oh,
nice.
That's nice. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Behavioral expectations for my child.
Mhm.
We'll just do this for another minute or so, and then move on to other parts of our meeting.
Yeah.
Communication on my child's academic progress. Mr. Erpa, I'm just curious, the report card guidelines that were sent out by the report card committee, have parents given positive feedback about the report cards that they've been receiving? Is there anything that you've heard?
Not
Okay.
yet, no, but this round is just meeting with students who are at need. with
Right, so that's the parent
intervention.
conferences,
Mhm.
but I was thinking specifically,
Oh, you meant from,
yeah, there's
teachers
there's like a
or from the
template for teachers to use when they fill out the report card now, which, the report card committee asked that the teachers do.
all I know is I kept getting the error that I had gone over my.
Yes, we love that.
My
Sir,
allotted text.
We're gonna have
So
a voice.
that was the problem.
uh,
And even when I
command.
went back, it's still, when you print, even though you
Doesn't-
kept it within the guidelines, it doesn't
all.
show all of them. So it took me several prints to actually fit within the box. So that's kind of a
Too
problem.
many
but-
good things to say.
That's too many good
That's a
things
good
to
problem
say.
to have.
Tell
Two-way
that to
communication.
the print
That's
machine.
Oh, man.
But no, I haven't. I don't know that anybody reads them.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm
No,
sure.
I mean, the people I met with today,
Okay.
we met for
Mm.
30
I would
minutes and then
think
they
the
took their
parents are
stuff.
glued
and
to
left.
this. Yeah.
But I think if you don't have a conference, you definitely are reading the report card. But if you have a conference, then you leave with a
Mhm.
stack of.
Okay,
books.
we're gonna put this to bed here. After
Oh.
just a couple more, the discipline policies are
shows
school are
everything
clear and
there.
consistent.
Can you do the question that we added about the racism and bias, please? Do you remember?
I can.
I don't
Was that
remember where it
parent or was that
though.
student?
It was student.
Student. So, okay, so we
Back
can
on
open
the-
up the
oh,
student
sorry.
survey.
Okay, we're on the.
And we haven't got a ton of student surveys back yet. Let's look at secondary. And I don't know if I can search. That's the only challenging part. Do you remember if it was deep in the survey?
I know we did it as a class when I did it with my fourth graders.
Okay,
But that was like 5 days ago, so.
Did the
Okay.
student survey go to all of the students, right?
it went to
Is
the
it in
students
their
grades
s-
3 through 12. Yes, it went 3 through 12. So everyone except the youngest of our students.
And it went to their emails?
No, that the students are going to do it in class under the kind
Oh,
of the,
okay, I get it. Okay, I was
Yeah.
just confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
that
was,
way we're sure going to get them all too.
what was the deadline that you put on that?
I put next Friday.
Okay, you
and so I'll
might
send a
need this,
reminder.
yeah, just because of conference week,
Reminders, yeah.
yeah.
And a little update on percentages of
Yeah.
each school. Where we are.
Dr. Adamson
Come-
likes the
come
competitive nature
Yeah,
of
you can
participation.
say who's done it and who hasn't.
Yes.
Then we're gonna-
Okay, the students, I'm learning new information in my classes. Very strong. This is the seniors.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Only
Check out.
83 seniors?
There's 83 that have done the survey so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's probably what, like 100?
100.
Probably like 120,
135.
No,
130.
no, yeah, 120, it's a small class.
Now this was just to kind of give an
Ooh,
idea.
there was the homework over break.
Yes,
Yeah, that's it.
Completely agree. Look at that, completely disagree,
Oh,
right
no.
there.
that was the seniors.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
man. Senior year.
Oh.
man.
Oh, wait, was there, I saw a homework question.
I never have homework assigned. Well, no, that's still the same one.
Oh, I thought that was.
So they
the-
break it
how
down
many
in other
hours. Where was the
Statistical
hours?
categories.
Grading
Well,
practices at my
somewhat
school
agree.
are fair.
This is the seniors.
It's not too bad.
That's not as bad as I
Right.
thought. Grading practice.
Well, and the seniors have to,
That was
have
funny,
to-
there's an error on the
That's
technology.
the seniors have to take into account, they got like 5 or 6, 7 teachers, right? In the great tech,
Up to 8.
up to 8, right?
Yeah, but they only have to take 5, right? And
Yeah.
4 if they're taking an MPC class, I think.
Technology in my classes helps me learn.
Yeah. Was after technologies.
Activities and sports, they know that they're there. Other adults care about me. Mostly somewhat agree. Pretty strong, neither
Yeah.
agree nor disagree
And
though.
this is high school, right, Buck?
This is just seniors, Mary,
The
yes.
seniors, okay.
Look at that, how mixed that bag is.
Well, it's pretty strong. At least one, yeah. But this is also
Yeah.
10 and 9, so about 20 out of the 83.
But then if you add the neither agree nor
Okay,
disagree.
so say half of those
Right,
Yeah.
would be about another like 8, 9.
Yeah.
So 29, yeah, about a third. Or no better than lukewarm. Feel like I belong.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty mixed too,
That one is very mixed.
yeah.
Seniors, there's 83 of them. So we'll wait till we get a bigger
Yeah.
bag and a bigger sample
Sure,
size.
yeah.
Sorry, Carrie, I haven't
Yeah,
found
yeah,
a
yeah,
racism
it's
question,
Yeah.
but
Later, I think.
it's in there.
It's later.
I'm gonna scroll just a little, you know, what, let me just see. if I
But
get
can
one.
you do Control F and then type the keyword? That might, sometimes in a tab, it'll let you do it.
Oh, there's no
Right.
bullying.
Ah, the bowling. Okay. And
Oh,
so
what just happened there, Abby? That was.
with this one,
amazing.
what you want is a long blue line. Okay, because the question is, oh, there's the resource officer question. I feel safer at school because we have a school resource officer. The seniors are mixed. The parents were very strongly in favor.
In favor.
Okay, so with this one, all right, so the text question is in there, but basically
Oh,
for the
really?
bullying questions, the long blue line is a good sign.
Oh, good.
The short blue and the short red, or the red and blue are the bad, or where they feel like they're getting bullied.
Yeah.
Like a top
The
of
purple is.
Purple is
You don't want
never.
to be
Okay.
red.
Okay, so
Red
never
is
wants to
well,
compare.
so you don't want
You don't want
green
green,
or
yeah.
whatever
Or
that is.
red or
purple,
blue.
yeah, red.
No, if green and red are the worst.
Green and red of the worst.
Green and red are the worst.
Okay.
Socially is fine.
So pretty big green there for verbally,
Yeah, socially.
pretty
is-
big green on socially.
Yeah.
Racially, it's not as big of a green. But
But the weekly.
that might be an impact because most of our kids are white too, so there you go.
Hmm.
But the race also, socially, there's one that included religion and everything else too. Gender, we did okay there too. Okay. We'll stop the share and kind of get back to the agenda.
And Qualtrics will be able to break it out to see if the students of color are experiencing the racist incidents, right? Like,
Correct.
break it down in the,
Yeah, that,
disaggregate that far.
well, for the students that did identify their race, for those that prefer not to state.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, let's take a quick look at the agenda and see what was next on there. List of things to do. Okay. All right, so one of the things that we've been talking about lately is using the ideas of trying to encapsulate what we want for our students with the three headings of belonging, safety, and prosperity. When we're looking at how we serve our students, we're looking to cast as wide a net as possible so that, you know, it's something that, well, it's hard to be a parent and say, you know what, I don't want my child to belong, right? Or I don't want my child to prosper, right? That these are things that I think are shared values. And when we go to choose our LCAP goals, if you look at the ones that we currently have, if you look at the academic program, that one really speaks toward being able to prosper. If you look at the facilities, that is part of safety. If you look at the social emotional goal, that also is part of safety. And then when we're talking about putting in a goal about cultural proficiency, I think that really speaks to belonging. And so we feel like there could be some great alignment with these three concepts that would encapsulate what we're trying to do as a district, and then also pitch a big enough tent for everybody to find a space under that tent in our district. I don't know, any comments on, I guess, anything we've seen so far? I'll go back to our group here.
Can you say a little bit about what you mean by prosperity?
Prosperity is basically that when you leave here, you are well prepared either to go to college or you're well prepared to join the workforce.
Okay.
Whatever choice it happens to be that you make.
Okay.
That we want you know, our children to leave and be on a trajectory where they're going to be able to thrive. Whatever that means to a person, right? It doesn't necessarily mean wealthy, but for some it might mean that. And to prosper, I think, kind of means to flourish.
Yeah, flourish, thrive, make a.
Right.
I think there's some baggage in my head about prosperity.
Well, because you think money, right?
Yeah,
right
prosperity
away.
gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Material attainment.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, I see that too. Yeah.
But also just more importantly, on those three buckets, right? Like wanting to make sure that the learning fits in there, which does have to do with that, being prepared
Correct.
for post high school.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And so when we're thinking of the buckets that are going to be our goals, right? Because the goals are really big, broad categories. You have to, you know, encapsulate what we want to do as a school. As a parent advisory group, do we have consensus that our 4 areas to focus on would be the academic program, social emotional learning, the goal that we're required to have by the state, which is to build programs that are going to support our unduplicated pupil population. We refer to that as our intervention goal. And then also a cultural proficiency goal. Do we feel like those 4 are what we want to emphasize as we go forward to the community, or is it, you know, and we start to actually draft the LCAP itself? For the record, I see a lot of nodding heads. So I'm recording the meeting because I can't take notes. Yes. Dr. Adamson, you're being recorded, so if you're quiet.
Can you repeat, but can you repeat those 4?
Sure, the first one is the academic program, and that's kind of the broad-based goal that's going to talk about everything we do in order to provide a sound education for our students. So with this, the typical measurements are going to be things like the CASP, English Language Arts portion of the test, the math, and the science. This also is going to be measured by the graduation rate. This is where the A through G completion rate is going to be one of the measurements, and also clearly going to be one of the actions that we're going to be looking at for the next 3 years. This also talks about the facilities of our school.
Okay.
This is also like the safety goal. would come into play. I think that one of the things that we hear from our students, as well as from our adults, is that we want to keep taking measures to ensure the physical safety of our schools. So that's that goal. So that would also, well, no. When we talk about social emotional learning, I think that's where we count most of our counseling. But I'd have to reference the LCAP itself, because I think our academic counselors fall under the academic program, and it's more mental health therapists that are falling under the social emotional learning goal.
Where does physical plant and building safety fit in? Did you say?
That's part of the academic program.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
So academic program intervention,
social emotional,
social, emotional, and cultural proficiency.
correct. Yeah. Chris, any other questions about that academic program goal?
No, I just feel like safety is a huge like red flag. It just because it's so, I just feel like if I don't feel safe, then I know my family doesn't feel safe. And so for kids, it's like if they're feeling that safety issue, you know, from the facility, from the buildings, from the, you know, lack of things, it's just it's a big problem.
I think that
It affects everything else. It affects
Right.
everything.
So I think that safety is broad enough that it can be addressed in multiple goals. In fact, I think it's probably going to get addressed in 3 of the 4 goals, to be honest with you. As far as the physical safety of the plant and that kind of thing, I would see that would be part of goal 1, the academic program. If we're looking at better supervision at recess and lunchtime, that also is part of the academic program in terms of hiring staff in order to supervise. I think when we're talking about safety in terms of trying to build an environment that is going to be emotionally safer for our children, then we start to put those goals under item number 2. And that's that social emotional learning part. And then I think when we're talking about everyone feeling a sense of belonging to our school and seeing themselves reflected in the curriculum, that falls under goal number 4, which is going to be our cultural proficiency goal. And that's going to have a lot of elements from our cultural proficiency plan that are going to become action steps within our LCAP, so that people always worry that it's going to be a one and done, Chris. And this LCAP is going to go for 3 years. So this forces us not to have it be one and done. And in, 3 years from now, if I'm writing the LCAP again, then I'm going to commit to keeping that a goal for the next 3 years as well.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to make it sound like I have the final say in all this stuff, but I will advocate strongly for that cultural proficiency to be a goal. You figure that if the society that we've built within Pacific Grove School started in 1895, right? That's 129 years of school. So in order for us to put some meaningful change in place, it can't just happen in 3 years, right? That we need to be looking at, 6, 9, 15 years of maintaining this effort for us to be able to really start to create a generation that is taking steps forward.
well, in fact, it's ATLIC. It's never complete.
Well, and yeah,
Because the next generation's gonna fix everything.
well, and you
Hello.
wouldn't want it to be complete, right? I
Right.
mean, that's the
So-
journey of a human being, right?
Continuous
Yeah.
Well,
improvement.
you're constantly revising and adjusting,
Continuous
adapting.
improvement.
That's the beauty about the LCAP
Yeah.
process, is that
Yeah.
it is continuous, and that 3-year cycle allows us, just the very fact that we're coming back every year to revisit the growth
Yeah.
we're making towards our goals, the
Yeah.
fact that even at the end of those 3 years, okay, we established where we are, and then you start building your next 3-year plan based on the data.
And
you
we
have.
don't know, what's going to happen, right? We didn't know that COVID was, well, we knew,
COVID.
but we were like, COVID was going to happen, right? And then something like that happens and it erases so many things that were already set, and we have to reinvent ourselves. So.
Yeah.
Right, that our metrics change and our goals change, right?
Mhm.
I think that's one of the things that we're gonna look at too.
Mhm.
One of the things that the state is requiring us to do is look at our actions, and the actions that have not been successful, they're asking us to change the actions.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
and we're gonna be, that really is gonna be kind of the topic of our next meeting, is start to dial in on what are the actions that we're gonna keep, which ones are we gonna toss, and which ones are gonna be new. So we'll have a lot of new ones for goal 4, but,
You know, Buck, I haven't had, I didn't have the experience starting with this because wasn't there. But I'm just really impressed with the goals, because you started the question a few minutes ago about what do we think about the goals? And I'm looking at, I wrote them down as you said, and I think I see they're also woven into each other, which is perfect. I mean, you can
yeah,
think of a topic and it can go into, oh yeah, it can go into intervention, or it can go cultural prevention.
Mhm.
Anyway, I
Mhm.
really like it. I wish I'd had
okay,
more participation earlier on. It would have been kind of my wheelhouse. Things that are not everything's my wheelhouse, as you know, because we work together. So, but I love this. I
you
love
got a
this.
big house, big wheelhouse for Mary. Yeah, thank you, Mary. No, and so kind of the main gist of this meeting was helping me identify those 4 areas that we're going to have in the LCAP, kind of getting the thumbs up from the committee to go forward with that. Because then we can start to look through those lenses when we get the data back from the surveys. The surveys will be a great big data point, and then what I'd like to do is take that data to our student focus groups and share it with them and have it be school specific, so they can give some insight and some voice
Mhm.
to the data that we found.
Mhm.
And then we also are going to meet with the DLAC. I changed the DLAC meeting just because I need to notify the rest of the members of the committee, and
What did we
it's
change?
not going to happen tonight, to Thursday, the 28th.
Oh, because it was meant to be tonight.
No, it's meant to be a week from,
Oh, okay.
it was supposed to be next Tuesday. Okay, so
Thank you.
just
Thank you.
FYI.
Thank you.
But can you remind me on the metrics,
Mhm.
are they set?
Some of them are.
Fully?
Some of the metrics we are required to use, and those are the ones that are associated with the dashboard.
Yep.
The other ones are local measures.
Yep.
And those are the ones that we choose. And so, especially with the cultural proficiency goals, I'm really going to need some help identifying what we think will be effective metrics that will be meaningful to gauge our progress in that work. I'm new to it, right? It's not like, I've been studying cultural proficiency and DEI for 20 years. But what I am is I'm enthusiastic and I'm passionate about it. And I'm devoting a large part of my time
Mhm.
in my role as the director of curriculum and instruction to that work. And so, and ultimately, it's the work that's going to bring our district the furthest along. It is. The majority of our students are going to learn to write and do math and read. And then what we need is for them to understand, if they're white, the, privilege that they have, and understand, I'm not going to pontificate too much on a recording, but they do really need to understand their place in society, and then also understand the obstacles that other folks have had to overcome that they did not. Yeah, it's really, starting to get a broader understanding of everything cultural proficiency. And what's been interesting is the curriculum that's being piloted right now really speaks to that, in grades 3, 4, and 5, the English prep program. It's not a slam dunk that is what we're going to adopt, just because, well, the teacher's manual is dense, to put it lightly, huh, Carrie? And it requires a ton of preparation.
It does.
And so if it does get adopted, the
That's
district's
right.
going to financially have to support the implementation of it. Fortunately, I think we still have a lot of professional development one-time money left that could help fund the implementation of that program if that's what we decide to adopt. But I digress. I'm sorry, I'm putting everybody to sleep now.
No, you're not. No, you're not. But Buck, I
Sorry.
have to, I'm going to excuse myself.
That's
And
fine,
I-
Mary. We're just about ready to call it a night. So,
I
thanks
appreciate.
for your
all
input,
of
Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi,
Good
Mary.
night.
Can I ask one question on the metric, Buck?
Sure can.
On the local metric, I know this came up earlier, and so, but, speaking of the prosperity piece and the pathway and the development, did we ever figure out why there was a decline in FAFSA completions? Again, have my professional hat on a bit here, but I would love to think about tracking our FAFSA completion. I know AB 469 is going through the LEA, but
Right.
we didn't really want it to be honest. We wanted it to be tracked at the school level and in LCAP so that people like what I do in real life can like track what's going on with
Right.
it. But you know, there was pushback on that because of the effort and all the things that are already in LCAPs, I know, but I do think, again, knowing that the FAFSA unlocks resources for anything from literally as short as 8-week programs, right? All the way up through. So I'm just curious,
So are you suggesting that we make
do we track completion?
FAFSA completion data as part of the
Yeah.
LCAP?
I just wanna
I think it's a
about it,
great idea.
okay, because it is a requirement now, but
Right.
it's not got a lot of teeth right now, which people are
Mhm.
working on.
Right.
But a lot of states have been moving in this direction, and it would be interesting to track.
I think that's a good indicator that kind of partners with the A through G.
Exactly,
rate,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
That's the other
Yeah.
component of helping our students make sure they're ready to go to college.
Well, there is a FAFSA night that the high school
Yep.
does to support
It
students,
was
so
fantastic.
maybe,
That's what I
yeah.
did.
Oh,
I
good,
went.
yeah.
It was
Oh,
great.
really?
Put
Oh,
an
good.
accountability
Yeah.
piece
Wow.
in there with like the Irwin
Mm.
class or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
Where, you know, they help them already in Irwin write the essays and whatnot, maybe they add a component in there or something.
Carrie, do you want to explain what IRWIC is for the folks that don't know?
English reading, writing,
And C,
composition.
that's writing,
Yeah.
reading, writing. I just
Mm.
went
Yeah, I
through
don't
all of
know,
the
but
reading in
it's-
that, as I responded to a public records.
Yeah, I don't know, what is it?
No. Mm.
It's not.
That's okay,
composition?
but yeah, it's like that
Mm.
basic.
It's a college prep class, but
Yeah.
it's just a general English level class that get kids ready their senior year, and the teachers help them fill out their applications, but they also read and respond to literature.
Is it communication maybe?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, maybe it is
Might be
communication.
communication.
I Googled its curriculum.
And it's
Yeah.
expository reading and writing curriculum. I
Expository.
should have known that, but sorry, that was 2 years ago for my
Yes.
son. It
Well
was a
done, Abby.
Great class, good use of
There
resources.
you go.
That's
A
why
problem
he's the
solver right
principal.
there.
But they help them keep track of deadlines, apply to
Yeah.
college, all the things,
Mhm.
and that would just be one more step.
Mm.
Great.
Yeah.
The other thing that we're gonna do is start to talk about some actions. It's getting close to 7:30, so I think what we'll do is we'll hold on actions for next time. Remember that if an idea hits you, you're more than welcome to submit it in writing, and we can look at it that way. And Dr. Adamson and I will get some popcorn and watch this re-recording and make sure we take notes and minutes of the meeting that we had here. But I really appreciate the participation. I'm gonna try to reach out personally to some of our other committee members next time, because that's gonna be a super important meeting when we start to look at the actions, which ones to keep, which ones to give away. And I think that we'd like to, if possible, do that one live and not revert virtual, so that we can interact and go from goal to goal around the room and capture some input and data. So we'll lean on the admin team to join that one too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Folks, thank you. so
Thank you.
All right, it's good to see everyone. Get some rest and let's have a great, safe Friday.
That would be good.
Yay.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.